On today's episode, I want to look at Mel Kiper's final 2025 NFL Draft Big Board and check out some draft targets for the Falcons at pick 15 and again in round number 2. Now, before we do that, make sure you are subscribed. We picked up 52 subscribers yesterday. We're trying to get to 35,000 before the NFL Draft begins. So if you haven't yet, do yourself a favor right now. Lock yourself in for the best free Falcons draft content available. Now, let's look at Kiper's final big board. Check out his top 10 players. I would not grow attached to anyone really in this list right here, except for maybe one guy, and that would be the number 10 player who would probably have the best chance of falling to 15. And that is Georgia linebacker Jalen Walker. He is a chess piece on the field. I've seen some people say, hey, meeting with him, he knew more about our defense than we even did. He was a defensive coordinator up at the whiteboard. He's got future team captain leadership to him. There's a lot you can fall in love with Walker. The reason why he's not this consensus top 10 slam dunk pick is he's kind of a tweener. Like, he was a really good pass rusher last year for Georgia. He led them in sacks. He led them in pressures. He wasn't even top 5 in pass rush snaps on that defense. But despite that, he still put up some really good production in his first season as a true starter. So what's the catch? How many 6'1", 243-pound defensive ends do you know? Personally, I don't know many at all. Now, in a 3-4 defense, you can put him an outside linebacker. I feel that he is best served in a defense that is looking for just pure talent and has a little bit of flexibility. If you take the Eagles, for example, they've got a really good roster defensively in place, right? They're not looking to start from scratch. So if they don't have a role for Walker, then it's probably not a very good fit. Atlanta is a bit of a blank canvas. You know, you got Jesse Bates at safety. You've got A.J. Terrell at corner. Caden Ellis at inside linebacker. And after that, like Leonard Floyd outside, it's kind of up for grabs. So I like the idea of just taking a tremendous player and kind of figuring out the rest later, but being happy you've got a future cornerstone piece on your defense. And even if he doesn't have an immediate, glaring home right when he steps on the field for the first day of rookie minicamp, I trust Raheem Morris, which, hey, that's a bold thing to say after last year, to find a good spot for Walker on that defense. So I'd be on board with that pick at 15, but I don't think he's probably going to fall that far. Let's look at 11 through 20 now on Kiper's big board. Will Johnson, the Michigan corner, comes in at number 11. Some other players here to keep an eye on. Nick Emanwari, the South Carolina safety. Mike Green, the Marshall pass rusher. Let's take a look at Johnson for a closer second. 6'1", 194 pounds. This is above average size for an NFL corner. It's going to give him good length. It's going to allow him to wrap up on some bigger receivers and not get run over. From a profile standpoint, it's very easy to fall in love with Johnson and go, yep, that's a top 10 pick in my eyes. This catch with Johnson is he doesn't have tremendous long speed. If he's going step for step with the receiver on a go route, he's probably going to lose that to a couple of burners. But he's got incredible instincts and IQ and just pure, I guess instincts is the word I go back to, but he just has this sixth sense to know where to be, and he puts himself in a great position. And look at what he did in 2023 when Michigan won the national championship. 4 interceptions, 8 pass breakups. He has 3 pick sixes. He did miss a substantial amount of time in 2024 with a turf toe injury. Then he missed a lot of the pre-draft workout and things like that. He didn't test at the combine due to I think it was a hamstring injury, a groin injury. So some medical flags that need to be looked at. But if they all clear, I know it's not a pass rusher. It does not help your pass rush. And that's the biggest need for Atlanta. But I think you're getting a lockdown corner for 8 to 10 years. I think you are getting someone who you have like an A.J. Terrell. Let me ask you this question right now. If I told you Will Johnson would have the same level of a career as A.J. Terrell, would you take him at 15? I'm doing it. If I'm told I can get 2 A.J. Terrells, yeah, I'm in. Sign me up. So if that's the pick at 15, are you okay with it? Yes or no? Let me know in the comment section below. I think he might even be better than Terrell. I know it's a bit ambitious, but I'm like beyond drunk on the Will Johnson Kool-Aid. I think he should get 1% of his signing bonus. If he goes to Atlanta, I'd like 1% of 1% of his signing bonus. Just actually, Will, when you're watching this, we'll meet at Taco Mac. I'll get the first round. You get the second and third. So some other guys on this Kiper big board. Nicky Manwari and Mike Green, a couple of defensive players that catch my eye. I really don't expect Atlanta to go offense in round one, / I pray they don't. If they do, it'd probably be a tackle to replace Caleb McGarry and give Penix a better pass protector for his blind side. But Mike Green is, I think, the most likely pick at 15. He's 6'3", 251, so I think he'd probably line up as an outside linebacker. I think he played a little bit smaller than 250 at Marshall, so he probably put on some weight for the combine to, look good in front of all the GMs and scouts. But he is arguably the best pure pass rusher Abdul Carter. So I forget all about Abdul Carter because he's not in reach for 15. But after him, he's arguably the best pass rusher in this draft class. So kind of a no-brainer, right? Atlanta has the worst pass rush in football since Terry Fontenot took over in 2021. I'm not being dramatic. I mean, they are literally dead last in sacks over the last 4 years by a wide margin, too. It's not like 1 or 2 sacks. It's like 30 behind the Carolina Panthers. So if you want to fix that problem, Mike Green is probably the best way to do it at 15. 17 sacks, 23 tackles for loss. There's just, so much to like here. He had 59 pressures in 2024. Now, the catch here, because everyone has a catch in this draft class. Like even the guy that goes first overall, Cam Ward, has a bit of a catch, which is why this draft class I don't think is all that great. He only has 1 season of starting experience. He started off in Virginia, and if you don't know, he had a sexual assault allegation, which got him dismissed from not just the team, but the school. He transfers to Marshall. He's a backup rotational guy in 2023. Then he starts in 2024, and he makes a great name for himself. But if we're looking at guys that can get to the quarterback at 15, he's my pick. The other player that I mentioned was Nick Emanwari. If Green is gone and the Falcons don't want to reach on a Michael Williams or James Pierce, maybe they don't think that those guys are as good as the South Carolina safety, and you're like, Petey, if Green's gone, who's the best player available type of pick? It'd either be him or Malachi Starks. I mean, Emanwari is 6'2", 6'3", 220 pounds, 4.38 40-yard dash. He's got the speed of a safety, but the size of a linebacker and the ball skills of a corner. Can someone actually tell me why he's not a consensus top 15 pick? I've tried to come up with good cons for everyone to give everyone a full picture. I'm struggling with this one. I think Emanwari is going to be an outstanding player at the next level. If you want to come up with something to nitpick on, maybe he doesn't have the greatest fundamental base and angles to ball carriers, and when you get to the NFL, you're not going to be as fast as, you're not going to be faster than everyone like you were in college, so that can come back to bite you. But I like the Emanwari pick as a plan C, which Petey Fontenot here, plan D if your top 2 pass rushers go before you're on the clock. Before we look at some other players on Kiper's big board, shout out to Factor. Make this your best season yet with nutritious 2-minute meals from Factor. Eating well has never been this easy. Just heat up and enjoy, giving you more time to do what you want. Get outside instead of prepping and cooking indoors. Factor meals arrive fresh and ready to eat, perfect for any active lifestyle. It's easy to savor more this spring. Factor meals pack in the flavor with none of the fuss. Plus, just look at some of the fajita spiced shrimp and filet mignon. That sounds gourmet to me. And for what you'd have to pay and how quickly you'd have to, get it ready for you to eat, it borderline seems unfair / illegal. So get started at factormeals.com. Also, I become a huge salmon guy during my diet. So if you kind of want to, get on that train, highly recommend it. Blackened salmon looks delicious there. But I have to read this part now. Get started at factormeals.com /FalconsChat50off and use code FalconsChat50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That's code FalconsChat50off at factormeals.com /FalconsChat50off for 50% off plus free shipping. All that information is in the comments and description of today's video. Moving on with Kiper's big board. He's got Jahad Campbell and Malachi Starks coming in, at 21 and 22. You see our friend Mykel Williams coming in at 24. So of this like crop right here, if I really had to, kind of zero in on a couple of players, I would toss out these four. And it's, very beneficial that they are in order. But Alabama linebacker Jahad Campbell, he was just the best player on Bama's defense last year. He was more of an edge rusher in high school, and he showcased some of that in college as well. So if you're looking for more like Caden Ellis type guys who can play inside but can get to the quarterback, Walker and Campbell are two great prospects for that. We've got Malachi Starks, who reminds me a lot of Jesse Bates. But what I like about Starks a ton that Eamon Warrior doesn't bring to the table, it's the versatility. He played all over UGA's defense. So he was in the slot. He was at that, star nickel position. He was everywhere. So if you want a jack of all trades, he's your man. Plus, he's going to just be another coach on the field. And coaches love that. Then you've got the Boston College defensive end, Donovan Ezeroku, who is just behind Mike Green in sacks in 2024 with 16.5. He's not as big as Green. He's 6'2", 248 pounds. So again, like an outside linebacker in a 3-4 defense. I think of him more as like a round 2 guy because I'm not convinced he can be a first, second, and third down for you. And if he's just a pass rush specialist, then that to me is a day 2 type prospect. About pick 15, I want someone who can play in all 3 downs. And then Mykel Williams, who, like, pound for pound, might be the best athlete of the bunch here. He's got great size. He's got a good frame. He's got good speed. He's only 20 years old, but he just didn't quite have the production people were hoping for in 2024. In his defense, he played through an ankle sprain, and he really turned it on when he had to. And I value that. In the SEC championship game in Austin, he put together some great reps, and he had some big plays for the Dogs. So 4 players to watch for right there. Moving on here, these are some guys that maybe you want to see slip to Atlanta in round 2. Derek Harmon, a defensive tackle from Oregon. James Pierce comes in at 34. Walter Nolan, Ole Miss DT, who might be the best defensive tackle in this class if you could just get a coach to get the most out of him every time he's on the field, because there are some effort and character flags that pop up when talking about him. I'll highlight James Pierce, though. If the Falcons move back from 15 scenario, I could realistically see the Texans jumping up from 25 to 15 if they want to get the number 1 tackle available at that point in the draft, because they traded their left tackle away. They got a bunch of draft capital in that trade. So if they don't want to mess around and they want to get the number 1 tackle available after pick number 10, let's say like Will Campbell and Armand Membu are gone at that point, and they're like, we don't want to wait for the 3rd or 4th tackle. We want the 3rd tackle off the board. The Falcons at 15 would love to trade back. And if Atlanta does, watch for the Tennessee defensive end, James Pierce. One other name that they could be trading back for, Walter Nolan. This would be a Grady Jarrett replacement. This is an interior guy who doesn't just flash pass potential. 6.5 sacks at nearly 300 pounds last year. Some people think that if he really reaches his cruising altitude, he could be better than Mason Graham in this draft class. And right now, the Falcons' defensive line, TLC would be doing it, an understatement when it comes to what it needs. It needs talent. That's really what it comes down to. It just needs an influx of talent right now up front. Some other guys to keep an eye on in round 2. We've got a few names jumping out to me. We got a corner from Ole Miss I want to look at. Kevin Winston, if you want to sound smart in front of your friends, go, hey, that Penn State safety, super good, got injured last year, but whatever team gets him is going to love that pick. And then to round out, just say the top 55. Yeah, top 55. He put out 150 names. I'm not going to bore you with all 150. Xavier Watts, if you don't go safety in round 1, I think either him or Kevin Winston could be, just as good value picks in round 2 of the draft. But the 3 guys I'll put on your radar to keep a closer eye on is the Ole Miss cornerback Trey Amos, the Ohio State defensive end JT Tuimoloau, and then the ECU cornerback Siobhan Revel. So let's go player by player for the moment here. Amos, he started off at like Louisiana, went to Alabama, then went to Ole Miss. He went all over the country, but that's going to be every single prospect in this class. except for JT, all 4 years at OSU. But last year, he was fantastic on that Rebel defense. 13 pass breakups and 3 interceptions. JT was a big-time recruit for the Buckeyes. Slowish start, but 6.5 sacks during 4 college football playoff games. Coaches want to know how you play in rivalry games, in conference championship games, in playoff games. That to them is 10 times more valuable than the way you played against Akron in September. JT came to play when the chips were down. And then this is a traits pick, right? He does not have the resume of these two guys. It took him a while just to really even get on the college football field. Not the best in the classroom, but the good news for him, well, luckily in the NFL, that's not what you're getting paid to do, but you do have to, have a good, sharp mind to learn that playbook. But he's 6'3", 193 pounds, and he has incredible long speed. He did miss almost all of 2024 with a torn ACL. Started off at a community college, finally gets up to, group of 5 even with ECU. But if you're like, hey, who's a corner that's got a really high ceiling that could fall, he's your man. But you got to have some patience, and it requires a lot of coaching. But you don't get 6'3", 193 and that speed in every draft. So there are some really good highlights to his game as well. Who do you want Atlanta to draft, though? Give me a name in the comment section. You're Terry Fontenot now. You get to be Petey Fontenot. Let me know in the comments. Let's pick a random viewer from the chat out of our last video and give 2 claps to. Mr. Barkus, spin that wheel. Commenter of the day going to... Looking good for C. Samuels. C. Samuels, it is 45. Thank you so much for commenting. I don't know if you said something nice or very mean to me, but either way, you get 2 claps. 1, 2. We'll see you all later.